There's so much that is unknown that we must focus in on all of it.
Why Casey Anthony could go free, a WESH 2 exclusive interview with her attorney, Jose Baez. There are several new developments tonight in the case against Casey.
Prosecutors have turned over to the defense hundreds of pages of new discovery evidence, including interviews with bail bondsman Leonard Padilla's employees. One of them, Tracy McLaughlin, spent more than a week in August in very close contact with Casey inside the Anthony home. Also today, the state has added 6 more expert prosecution witnesses. Most are from the FBI crime lab.
Another key figure in the case is asking a judge to block Jose Baez's attempts to access her phone records. Amy Huizenga has filed a motion asking for a protective order from a subpoena by Baez. Huizenga argues that the subpoena is too broad and constitutes harassment and is an invasion of privacy. Huizenga was a close friend of Casey's while Kaylee was missing.
Attorneys for Zenaida Gonzalez are asking a judge to force George and Cindy to respond to certain questions they would not answer at a deposition last month. The Anthonys said the questions were outside the scope of Gonzalez's defamation lawsuit. The questions have to do with whether Casey stole from their accounts, whether Cindy asked Dominic Casey to look in the woods where Kaylee's remains were found a month later, and what efforts the family made to try to find the babysitter Casey claimed kidnapped Kaylee. Casey Anthony's lawyer Jose Baez is keenly aware of some major public sentiment against his client. The law says Casey is innocent until proven guilty.
But experts say many people have already judged her guilty, but guilty of what?
Now, WESH 2's Bob Keeling landed the first in-depth interview with Jose Baez since the case against Casey became a death penalty case.
And Bob is joining us now with why Baez thinks Casey will be going free, Bob.
Well, it's what you would expect him to say, but there are others who say that there are places where there could be reasonable doubt in several places in this case. Now, in our interview, Jose Baez says the state's case has significant holes, like how Kaylee died and when. Despite what many people think, he says, wait until you've heard the whole story. Stick a fork in Casey Anthony. She's done. Guilty. So says political scientist Aubrey Jewett, a pro at interpreting what the public is thinking.
I think there is widespread belief, rightly or wrongly, among most of the public that Casey Anthony is probably guilty of something.
But of what? Is there enough evidence to convict Casey Anthony of murdering her daughter Kaylee and condemn her to death?
Obviously, what happened in the woods is critical.
That's going to become, I got to think, one of the major battlegrounds in the case.
At this point, there seems to be a reasonable defense in this case.
In his first interview since the state chose to pursue the death penalty, we asked Casey's lawyer, Jose Baez. We also asked Lee Anthony's lawyer, Tom Luca, and defense attorney Richard Hornsby for the other side, why Casey could go free. 4 critical pieces tied to this spot, the wooded area where Kaylee's body was found wrapped in a plastic bag around the corner from the Anthony's house. The first reason? No cause of death.
There's so much that is unknown that we must focus in on all of it. They don't know how Kaylee passed away. They don't know when Kaylee passed away.
Reason number 2, there's no eyewitness testimony to Kaylee's death.
They don't know who did it. And to prove someone guilty of a crime, you must first prove a crime has been committed, and second, that the accused is the one who committed the crime.
Third, they say prosecutors have not definitively tied Casey Anthony to Kaylee's remains along Suburban Drive. They have to prove that Casey dumped the body there before entering state custody and that the remains were there for almost 6 months.
That would be one of the first things as a defense attorney and as a prosecutor I would want to pursue to see if that was in fact true or not.
If the jury's left with, well, how do we explain how that body got there while she was in jail? I've got to think a jury could potentially walk her on that particular issue.
Fourth, forensic evidence. Baez plans to vigorously attack the single hair found in Casey's car trunk, prosecutors say is proof a decomposing body was in there. He claims his own expert, Henry Lee, found 17 hairs in the trunk that showed no signs of decomposition. And the so-called sniff tests on the air in Casey's trunk, the state says proved it was the smell of death.
It's not science that's fully accepted within the scientific community. It's science that has not been verified. We don't know what the error rates are. There's absolutely nothing to gauge this science by. So therefore, it should not be used when someone's life is at stake.
Baez will not be specific on his promise to explain Casey's failure to report her daughter missing for a month or the alleged babysitter. There's no evidence Casey ever called during that same time period. As for the prosecution, a spokeswoman for State Attorney Lawson Lamar told me, quote, "We don't respond to anything about this case outside the courtroom." Now, there's much more to our exclusive interview with Jose Baez, including questions we've all wanted to ask. What I've heard, one of the biggest hurdles you're going to have is, how do you explain Casey's behavior while her daughter was missing? Do you have a plan to explain that? And Jim and Martha will have the answer to that question, plus many more, tonight at 11 o'clock.
All right, we'll see you at 11 o'clock, Bob. Thanks.